Good morning, students. Our today's topic for discussion is biochemical effects of vitamin D. In the last class, we just studied the introductory portion of the vitamin D, and today let's see its biochemical effect. The main function of vitamin D is to maintain plasma calcium concentration. So, how does this occur? How does the vitamin D maintain plasma calcium concentration? This is by its action, and it has got three sites of action. They are one is intestinal villus cells, next is bone osteoblast, and then kidney. The vitamin D acts on these tissues, that is intestinal villus cells, bone osteoblast, and kidney, and thus they help to maintain the plasma calcium concentration. In the intestinal villus cells, they act by increasing intestinal calcium absorption. In the bone osteoblast, they mobilizes bone minerals, and in the kidney, they act on distal tubular cells and they reduces calcium excretion. Okay, so where are the sites of action? On the intestinal villus cells, bone osteoblast, and the kidney. So calcitriol promotes absorption of both calcium and phosphorus from intestine. From intestine, it will absorb both calcium and phosphorus. Next is action on intestinal villus cells. The calcium absorption from intestinal brush border surface is a passive process, and absorption from the intestine to the blood is an energy dependent process. And it is by sodium calcium exchange mechanism or by pumping out calcium binding complex. So just remember, from the intestinal lumen to the intestinal cells, it is a passive process, and the absorption from the intestinal cells to the blood, it is an energy dependent process, and it is mediated by sodium calcium exchange mechanism or by pumping out calcium binding complex. The calcitriol enters the target cells and it binds to the cytoplasmic receptors and interacts with the DNA, and it causes de-repression, and thus transcription occurs, and transcription of a specific protein results, and this causes increased calcium binding protein availability, and thus calcium absorption is increased. This is how calcium absorption is increased. The calcitriol enters the target cells and they bind to the cytoplasmic receptors, which will then interact with this receptor calcitriol complex, then interact with the DNA, and it causes de-repression, and then transcription occurs, and there is increased calcium binding protein availability, and thus calcium absorption is increased. Next is the effect on bones. The calcitriol coordinates remodeling action of osteoblast and osteoclast. The bone mineralization is increased by increasing osteoblast activity, and the calcitriol stimulates osteoblasts which secrete alkaline phosphatase. And due to this enzyme, the local concentration of phosphate is increased, and the ionic product of calcium and phosphorus increases, leading to mineralization. So, how does the vitamin D affects in bone? This causes remodeling action of both osteoblast and osteoclast. The bone mineralization is increased. The calcitriol stimulate osteoblast and they secrete alkaline phosphatase. Thus, phosphate concentration also is increased. The ionic product of calcium and phosphorus increases, leading to mineralization. Okay. So, this is a bone without vitamin D and a bone with vitamin D. See the difference. Vitamin D helps in mineralization. Then effect in renal tubules. The calcitriol increases renal reabsorption of calcium and phosphorus. Both minerals are conserved, but the parathyroid hormone conserves only calcium. But here the calcitriol conserves both calcium and phosphorus. So what are the other actions of vitamin D? The main action of vitamin D is on intestinal cells, in bone, as well as in the renal tubular cells. Apart from this, vitamin D also has got some other actions. So what are the other actions of vitamin D? It is involved in insulin secretion, synthesis of parathyroid hormone and thyroid hormone, differentiation of monocyte precursor cells, modulation of cell proliferation. Okay, They are involved in involved in insulin secretion, synthesis of parathyroid hormone and thyroid hormone, differentiation of monocyte precursor cells, and modulation of cell proliferation. And also inhibition of production of interleukins by activated T lymphocytes and of immunoglobulins by B lymphocytes. Of this, the most important one is they are involved in insulin secretion and also synthesis of parathyroid hormones and thyroid hormones. Try to remember at least these two. Okay, they are involved in insulin secretion and also synthesis of parathyroid hormone and thyroid hormone. Having a healthy vitamin D level appears to help prevent cancer, cardiovascular diseases, hypertension, stroke, colds and influenza, diabetes, depression, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, autism, chronic pain, macular degeneration, inflammatory bowel disease, periodontal disease, rickets, osteoporosis and osteomalacia, and also falls in the elderly. So what are the good effects of vitamin D? It is several studies show that the vitamin D helps to prevent cardiovascular diseases, cancer, hypertension, stroke, colds and influenza, diabetes, depression, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, autism, chronic pain, macular degeneration, inflammatory bowel disease, periodontal disease, rickets, osteoporosis, osteomalacia, and falls in the elderly. So vitamin D has got an important role in our body. The levels of vitamin D is important, and adequate level of vitamin D should be present in our body. Okay. So how it is regulated? Regulation of calcitriol. It is by feedback control, and the rate of production is modulated by the serum levels of calcium, phosphorus, parath hormone, and calcitriol. The rate of production is modulated by serum levels of calcium, phosphorus, parath hormone, and calcitriol. The site of control is at 1-alpha hydroxylase level, and hypocalcemia, if there is hypocalcemia, it increases 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol production by the stimulatory effect through parathyroid hormone. So the site of control is at the level of 1-alpha hydroxylase, and the hypocalcemia will increases 125 DHCC production. Okay, whereas the hypercalcemia decreases calcitriol. Just remember that it is by feedback control, and the rate of production is modulated by serum levels of calcium, phosphorus, parath hormone, and calcitriol, and the site of control is at the level of 1-alpha hydroxylase. Inactivation of 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol by oxidation of side chain and by hydroxylation at 24th position by kidney lowers the activity. If there is hydroxylation at the 24th position of the vitamin D, then it lowers its activity. That is 24-25 dihydroxycholecalciferol has got a lower activity when compared to that of 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Okay, so vitamin D deficiency state enhances effect of alpha hydroxylase also. The vitamin D status adequate, or if the vitamin D status adequate or calcium level is high, 24 hydroxylation is favored and forms 24-25 DHCC, and which is less active, and 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol level directly regulates parathyroid hormone secretion. Okay, remember that if there is adequate vitamin D level, or if there is adequate calcium level, or if the calcium level is high, then 24 hydroxylation is favored and it forms 24-25 DHCC, and which is less active. So next about the deficiency manifestation. So it's a picture of a boy showing some deficiency manifestation of vitamin D. See the bone deformities and all. Okay. Next we will discuss about it. Deficiency manifestations includes rickets in children and osteomalacia in adults. Okay. These are the main two deficiency manifestations of vitamin D: rickets in children and osteomalacia in adults. Hence, vitamin D is also known as anti-rachitic vitamin. Anti-rachitic vitamin. The causes of vitamin. Next, let's discuss about the causes for vitamin D deficiency. These are inadequate exposure to sunlight, nutritional deficiency of calcium or phosphorus, malabsorption of vitamin, that is obstructive jaundice and steatorrhea, high phytate content in the diet, reduce absorption of vitamin, high phytate content will reduce absorption of vitamin, and abnormality of vitamin D activation, that is liver and renal diseases retard hydroxylation reaction and deficient renal absorption of phosphates. Okay, these are the causes for vitamin deficiency. Which all are they? Inadequate exposure to sunlight, nutritional deficiency of calcium and phosphorus, absorption of vitamin by obstructive jaundice or steatorrhea, high phytate content in the diet which reduces absorption of this vitamin, and also abnormality of vitamin D activation in the liver and the renal system by liver and renal diseases, and also deficient renal absorption of phosphate. What are the clinical features of rickets? Rickets was reported as early as the 2nd century AD, and in children there will be defective bone mineralization, and the bones are soft and pliable, and there will be frontal bossing, there will be pigeon chest, rickety rosary, Harrison sulcus, bow legs, and also knock knees. These are the main features of rickets. The bones will be soft and pliable. There will be defective bone mineralization, thus resulting in a soft and pliable bones, frontal bossing, pigeon chest, rickety rosary, Harrison sulcus, bow legs, and knock knees. The bone deformities mainly are the weight bearing bones are affected, and these weight bearing bones will bend, and this is the classical feature what we saw in that picture. And the enlargement of epiphysis at the lower end of the ribs and costochondral junction occurs, and this is known as beading of the ribs or rickety rosary. That is, there will be enlargement of epiphysis at the lower end of the ribs and costochondral junction. Okay. So at the lower end of the ribs there will be enlargement. Ribsinde ലോവർ ബോർഡറിൽ നമ്മൾ എപ്പിഫൈസിസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ലോവർ എൻഡ് ആണ്. ഒരു ബോണിൻ്റെ ലോവർ എൻഡ് ആണ് എപ്പിഫൈസിസ്. സോ ദർ വിൽ ബി enlargement at the lower end of the ribs, and this will causes enlargement at the lower end of the ribs and costochondral junction, and this will causes beading of the ribs or rickety rosary. കണ്ടോ, ഇതേപോലെ ബൾജിങ് കാണാൻ പറ്റും. അതാണ് ബീഡിങ് ഓഫ് ദ റിബ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സോ see this image, you can see bulging and all. Okay. Next is Harrison sulcus, transverse depression passing outward from the costal cartilage to the axilla due to the indentation of lower ribs at the site of attachment of diaphragm. This is known as Harrison sulcus. This transverse depression is a depression that is passing outwards from the costal cartilage to the axilla due to the indentation of lower ribs at the site of attachment of diaphragm. So, which are the main bone deformities? These bones will be soft and pliable. There will be frontal bossing. Then rickety rosary will be there, and also Harrison sulcus will be there, and the long bones are mainly affected. Okay. So, see the image of Harrison sulcus. So, this is also a picture of a boy, of a child with ricket features. So, what are the X-ray findings in rickets? These are not so much important for you, but just for completion sake I am discussing it. These include, X-ray findings include beading and cupping and fraying of the lower ends of radius and ulna. This is the classical triad of the rickets. Okay, this rickets mainly affects the X-ray findings are mainly seen at the wrist joint. Okay, there will be broadening and also cupping and fraying of the lower ends of the radius and ulna. This is the classical triad of rickets. And increased distance between distal end of the radius and ulna and the metacarpal bones. And also demineralization of the shaft. Okay, these are the main radiological findings. And the fractures and deformities may also be present. So, which all are they? There will be broadening, cupping and fraying of the lower end of the radius and ulna, and increased distance from the distal end of the radius and ulna and the metacarpal bones, demineralization of the shaft, and fractures and deformities, and also periosteal elevation. See the X-ray of two different kids. One is that of a normal kid and other is that of a ricket, of a child having ricket. See the distance between these bones. The bone in the picture B, you can see there is increased distance between the lower end of the radius ulna and the metacarpal bones. Okay. So this is the Bolex. This is the knee joint defect in the rickets, that is knock knee and all. The different types of rickets are there. First is vitamin D deficiency rickets, then hypophosphatemic rickets, vitamin D resistant ricket. For Fanconi syndrome, which is associated with the Fanconi syndrome, there will be tubular absorption of phosphate bicarbonate, glucose and amino acids. Then renal rickets, vitamin D is here. Vitamin D is available but calcitriol is not synthesized. And also end organ refractoriness to 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Just remember the names of different types of rickets. There will be vitamin D deficiency ricket, hypophosphatemic ricket, vitamin D resistant ricket, renal ricket and end organ refractoriness to 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol. Then what is the biochemical changes in rickets? The serum calcium is low, normal, that is secondary to compensatory hyperparathyroidism, and serum phosphate is also low, normal, secondary to compensatory hyperparathyroidism, and alkaline phosphatase in the blood is increased. So what are the biochemical changes in rickets? Serum calcium will be low, serum phosphorus will be low, normal, and also alkaline phosphatase will be increased, and decreased 25 dihydroxy vitamin D in the serum. Okay. Next is the treatment of infantile rickets. A daily administration of 1000 to 4000 units will produce healing in 2 to 4 weeks, demonstrable in the X-ray. Healing is complete in 6 to 8 weeks. So daily administration of 1000 to 4000 units is required for the treatment of infantile ricket. An alternate method of administration is the oral or IM administration of one massive dose of vitamin D of approximately 6 lakhs international units. Okay, we can give either as a daily dose administration of 1000 to 4000 units or a single massive oral or IM administration of 6 lakh international unit. In case of prematures, in addition to the vitamin D, also give calcium equivalent to 60 milligram elemental calcium per day and phosphate equivalent to 30 milligram elemental phosphate per day. Next, about the complications of rickets. It can cause tetany. The most important complication is usually precipitated by infection and cause recurrent chest infection, which is due to chest wall deformity. Defective function of immune system may occur and bone fractures may result and bone deformities can also occur. Okay, these are the main complications of rickets. Which all are they? Tetany, recurrent chest infections, bone fractures and bone deformities. Next is the prevention of rickets. Prevention of rickets is by exposure to UV rays, a daily oral dose of 400 international unit of vitamin, and daily prophylactic dose of vitamin D recommended for prematures and twins is 1000 unit, and the vitamin D should also be given to the pregnant and lactating mother. Exposure to sunlight, a daily oral dose of 400 international units of vitamin D, prophylactic dose of vitamin D recommended for prematures and twins and also for pregnant and lactating mother. Next disease is the osteomalacia. Osteo means bone and malacia means softness. So bones are softened due to the insufficient mineralization and increased osteoporosis. Bone aches and pains are common. So these are the main X-ray findings of osteomalacia. There will be defective mineralization, there will be looser zone, and in the vertebrae you can see codfish vertebrae. What are the biochemical parameters in osteomalacia? Here also there will be slightly low serum calcium and low serum phosphorus, and serum alkaline phosphatase will be markedly increased. Next, about the sources of vitamin D. Source of vitamin D are sun exposure. Nearly 5 to 15 minutes arms and leg exposure to sunlight is equivalent to 3000 international unit, and the cod liver oil 400 to 1000 international unit. Fish and egg yolk are also good sources. Milk also contains moderate quantity and standard multivitamin tablets also contains 400 international unit. Okay. Sun exposure, cod liver oil, fish, egg yolk and milk. These are the sources of vitamin D. The vitamin D requirements, preschool children 400 international unit per day, older children and adults 200 international unit per day, pregnancy and lactation 400 international unit per day, and above 50 and 60 years 400 international unit per day. Okay, preschool children to 400, other children 200, pregnancy and lactation 400, above 50 years 400, and above 60 years 600 international unit per day. Okay, so just remember what is the daily requirement of vitamin D. For the preschool children it is 400 national unit, for the older children it is 200, for pregnancy and lactation it is 400, above 50 years 400 and above 60 years 600. Next, about the hypervitaminosis D. Doses above 1500 units per day for a very long period will causes hypervitaminosis. So, what are the clinical manifestations of this? They are related to the hypercalcemia, and these include patient feels weak, thirsty, anorexia and loses weight. And there will be nausea and vomiting, and polydipsia and polyuria will also be there, and constipation can also occur, and also dehydration. The kidneys show stone formation or nephrocalcinosis which may lead to renal failure. And deposition of calcium in soft tissues around the joints and in the walls of the blood vessels occurs, and metastatic calcification may also occur in the heart, lung, thyroid and pancreas. Okay. So, what are the main features of hypervitaminosis D? The patient may feel weak, thirsty, anorexic and loses weight. There will be polydipsia, polyuria, nausea, vomiting, constipation, dehydration, stone formation will be there, and deposition of calcium in soft tissues, and also metastatic calcification can also occur. So, today what we discussed about the biochemical role of vitamin D, where are the actions, what are the sites of actions of vitamin D. Then we discussed about the deficiency, manifestation of deficiency diseases associated with vitamin D, which are rickets and osteomalacia. Then about the daily recommended allowances and also the sources, and lastly about the hypervitaminosis also. Hope the topic is clear to you. Thank you.